After I let my niece stay with me to escape a dangerous relationship, I found her wearing my perfume, taking my clothes, even using my name for job applications. "You have the life I should have had," she said. "So, I'm taking it." I changed my locks, but by then it was too late. What she did next made me. When my niece called crying, saying she had to leave her boyfriend, I didn't hesitate. I told her to come stay with me. I live alone in a quiet neighborhood in Colorado Springs. No roommates, no kids. Just my job, my routines, and my peace. She showed up 2 days later with one suitcase and a hollow look in her eyes. Her name is Brianna, 25. She used to be bubbly and sweet when she was little. I hadn't seen much of her in the last few years. Her boyfriend had been controlling, she said. Angry. Yelled at her all the time. She didn't get into the worst of it, but I saw the bruises on her arms and the way she flinched when someone spoke too loud. I didn't ask too many questions. I just made up the guest bed, showed her where the towels were, and gave her space. At first, it was fine. She was quiet. Stayed in her room most days, just resting, I thought. I told her to take her time, get back on her feet. Then little things started happening. One morning I walked into the kitchen and smelled my perfume. I only wear one kind. I've worn it for years. It's not something you'd mistake. I asked if she'd used it. She said she was just curious what it smelled like on her. I let it go. A few days later, I found one of my sweaters in her laundry pile. It was my favorite cream knit one. I asked why she had it. She laughed and said she was cold and didn't think I'd mind. "I used to watch you wear this stuff when I was a kid," she said. "You always looked so put together." I didn't think too much of it. I figured maybe it was comforting to her. Maybe it reminded her of safety. But then she started copying more things. My hairstyle. My nail color. She asked what skincare I used. What shampoo. She started buying the same groceries as me. At first it felt a little weird, but I tried to be understanding. Then she started going through my closet when I wasn't home. I came home early from work one day and heard the closet door shut as I walked down the hallway. She came out wearing one of my dresses. My actual work dress. She acted surprised to see me. "Oh, I didn't think you'd be home yet," she said. "This fits me better than I thought." I told her that wasn't okay. I asked her to stop going through my things. She apologized, but it didn't feel real. That weekend, I found out she'd applied to 3 jobs using my address, my references, and even signed one application with my full name. I confronted her, and she just stared at me like I was the crazy one. "You don't get it," she said. "You have the life I should have had. The house. The job. The calm. No one yelling at you. No one hurting you. So, I'm taking it." I froze. I honestly didn't know what to say. I told her she needed to leave. She refused. That night, I changed the locks. Packed up her things while she was out. I left the suitcase by the door and a note saying she had to go. But by then, it was too late. Because what she did next made me. Continue the story. Add conflicts or a story twist, keeping the details sharp and the tone dramatic. Use simple words. No ending, yet she was gone when I got home the next day. Suitcase gone too. I thought maybe she understood. Maybe she found somewhere else. Maybe her pride kicked in. But then I started getting calls. The first was from my boss. He asked if I had a sister. I told him no. He said a woman came to the office asking about job openings, said her name was my name, had my resume. Knew things only someone close to me would know. "She looked a lot like you," he said. But off. I went cold. That weekend, I got a letter from a credit card company. "Thank you for opening an account." Only I hadn't. Then an online order confirmation, 6 pairs of shoes, all shipped to a small apartment complex across town. I drove there, and there she was, Brianna, wearing one of my old coats, standing outside, talking to a neighbor like she lived there. She saw me and didn't even flinch. "You can't keep everything," she said, like I was the one taking something from her. I called the police. They couldn't do much. Said unless I pressed charges or could prove identity theft, it was a civil matter. Even with the job applications, the name, the credit card, it was like she stayed just under the line of real criminal charges. But she kept pushing. My social media, she changed her accounts to use pictures of me. She used a photo of my living room, captioned it my new place. Friends of hers started following me, thinking I was her. One messaged me, "Brianna, are you okay? You've been acting strange." I didn't respond. I was shaking. That night, I found she had created a fake email using my name and was emailing places for job interviews. Even a therapist. Pretending to be me. I locked everything down, passwords, bank accounts, email, even told HR at work to be on alert. But it wasn't enough. One night, I came home, and my key didn't work. The lock had been changed. I tried again. Same thing. I called the building manager. He said, "Didn't you request a lock change last week? You filled out the form. Signed it in person." I hadn't. I had to show him ID, prove who I was. She'd walked into the office, pretending to be me. Said she lost her keys. That was when I knew she wasn't just copying me. She was trying to erase me. And part of me started wondering if she might actually pull it off. I spent the night in my car outside the building. Every light that flicked on, every shadow near the window. I stared at it, wondering if she was inside, sleeping in my bed, eating my food, walking barefoot across the same floor I mopped 2 days ago. The next morning, I went to the police again. This time with printouts. The credit card bill. The job application screenshots. The email she sent pretending to be me. I told them everything. I said, "She's trying to be me." The officer listened, but his face stayed blank. "She's your niece, ma'am?" "Yes." "And she used to live with you?" "Yes." He sighed. "It's messy. But legally, she can't just take your identity. That is a crime. You'd need to file for identity theft formally. You prepared to do that?" I nodded. I didn't care what it took anymore. I wanted my life back. They opened a case. That slowed her down a little. She couldn't keep using my name once a report was on file. But she didn't stop. She just got smarter. She went to my old high school, asked for a copy of my yearbook photo, claimed she was updating a family scrapbook. They gave it to her. She sent it to someone. I only found out because a friend from college called me, confused. "Why'd you message me asking for a copy of your old internship reference?" I hadn't. She was trying to rebuild my entire timeline. Then came the final blow. A man showed up at my door. I didn't recognize him. Tall, maybe early 40s, looked nervous. "Is this where Brianna lives?" I froze. "Who are you?" He hesitated. "I've been dating her. Online. For a few months." "Dating her?" I asked. "Well, she used your photos. Your name. I thought I was talking to you." He pulled out his phone. There were pictures of me, real ones from my own private account. Ones I never posted publicly. Me on the couch. Me in my car. One from the back porch, holding my coffee. Where did she get these? She said she took them. That she was private, didn't like sharing too much. But she wanted to get to know me. He looked hurt. Embarrassed. She told me things about her life. Your job, your childhood, your old cat that died. She even talked about your ex. She really sold it. I couldn't speak. I just nodded. My ears were ringing. He left. Apologized. Said he felt stupid. Said he thought we had something real. That night, I opened every drawer in my house. Checked every camera. Every device. I found one. Hidden inside a picture frame in the hallway. A small pinhole camera. Facing the living room. I called the cops again. They found 3 more. All synced to a cloud account registered under a fake email with my name. She had been filming me, studying me, learning how I moved, how I talked, how I sat, what I did when no one was watching. I told them I didn't feel safe. I wanted a restraining order. But she was gone again. Disappeared. That was when I got the email. From her. No subject. Just a few lines. "You'll never feel like yourself again." That's all I wanted. Now we're even. I don't know what she meant by even. I don't know what she thought I took from her. But the worst part? Some mornings now, I wake up, stare at myself in the mirror, and think, maybe she's right. Maybe I had a life that wasn't mine to keep. The email didn't have a signature. No return address I could trace. It was a burner account, probably one of dozens she created. I changed everything again. My phone number, my email, got a P.O. box. Started using cash when I could. I even bought blackout curtains for the windows. I couldn't sleep knowing someone had been watching me for God knows how long. But even with all that, I couldn't shake the feeling she was still close. I started noticing things again. One morning, my front door mat was flipped over. Not a big deal, but I always lay it down a certain way. The next week, a coffee cup I'd left in the sink was gone. Just gone. I live alone. I thought I was losing it. Then I got another package addressed to me, but not from a store I'd ordered from. Inside was a shirt. My size. My style. The same brand I wore. Same color. But I hadn't bought it. I checked the receipt. It was ordered under her name, sent to my address. She was leaving me gifts. Like she was still in the house somehow. Still watching. I told my building manager I needed security cameras installed. I didn't tell him the real reason. I just said there had been break-in attempts. I didn't want to sound crazy. Then, about a month later, I went to a job interview. Something new, part-time. Just something to keep me moving forward. As I walked into the office, the receptionist looked up and said, "You're back." I stopped. "Back?" I asked. She smiled. "You were here last week. Same name. Same resume. You even wore the same jacket, I think." My chest went tight. "I've never been here before," I said. Her face dropped. "Oh." I asked if she had security footage. She said I'd need to speak to HR. I did. They showed me the footage. It was Brianna. Hair a little lighter now. Makeup thicker. But still her. Still trying to be me. Same voice patterns. Same way of speaking. She even laughed the same way I do when I'm nervous. They thought it was me. I called the police again. Gave them the footage. The report grew. But they still hadn't found her. And that's when I got a call from a number I didn't know. I answered it on instinct. "Hello." Silence. Then a low, breathy whisper. "I thought you'd be further along by now." Click. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room, lights off, holding a kitchen knife like that would actually protect me from someone who'd already taken parts of my life I didn't even know were vulnerable. She was still out there. Still waiting. Still watching. And I knew this wasn't about stealing my life anymore. She wanted me to disappear, so that she could feel real. And part of me was starting to wonder how much longer I could keep fighting before something finally gave in. 3 days later, I went to the grocery store, just for milk and bread. I hadn't been going out much. My nerves were too raw. But I forced myself. I told myself, you have to live your life. I parked, walked inside, got my stuff, stood in line. And that's when I saw her. 2 lanes over. She had dyed her hair. A darker brown, straighter now. She was wearing sunglasses indoors. But it was her. She was holding a basket, pretending not to see me. But I saw her. I stared at her. I didn't move. Didn't blink. She looked up, right at me, held my gaze for maybe a second, then smiled, a small, knowing smile, and turned away, left her basket, walked out of the store. I dropped everything in my arms and ran after her. I caught a glimpse of her getting into a white sedan. No plates on the front. She drove off. Fast. Gone before I even reached the parking lot. I filed another report. Same outcome. We'll add it to the file. That night, I started researching restraining orders again. I called a lawyer the next morning. She asked me one question. "Do you have proof she's threatening you?" "No," I said. "But she's stalking me. She's trying to take over my identity." "Unfortunately," she replied, "that's hard to prove in court unless she's made an explicit threat. Identity theft is one thing. Psychological harassment is another." So, I hired a private investigator. I gave him everything, the footage, the screenshots, the emails. He said he'd look into it. A week later, he called me. I found her. My stomach dropped. She's in a small town about 90 minutes north. Using your name. Working part-time at a library under an alias, but all her references trace back to your resume. She's telling people she moved there for a fresh start. Is she living alone?
No, he said.
With a man. Looks like they met online.
She's going by Leah.
Your middle name, right? I felt sick. He paused. She even told the neighbors she used to live in Colorado Springs but had to leave because of a family stalker. She described you. Said you were the one who copied her. I nearly dropped the phone. She'd flipped it. Told people I was the threat. Made herself the victim. And the worst part? She was good at it. She was calm. Convincing. Charming even. The PI said, "You want me to confront her?" "No," I said. "Not yet." Because suddenly, I didn't know what would happen if she saw me again. This wasn't just obsession. This was war. And she'd already convinced the world I was the villain. I started seeing my own face differently after that call. I'd catch my reflection in the mirror and wonder if someone else looked at me. Would they see her? Would they believe she was the real one? I wasn't sleeping much anymore. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and just sit on the couch, lights off, staring at the door. Waiting. Listening. Every sound felt suspicious. Every silence louder than it should be. I stopped trusting strangers. I stopped going out. When I did, I scanned every face, every parked car. I kept my keys between my fingers when I walked to my mailbox. The investigator kept digging. He sent me updates, text messages, blurry photos from a distance. Her new apartment. Her walking her boyfriend's dog. Her hosting what looked like a small backyard dinner party with neighbors. It looked like my life. Not the exact details, but the feel of it. The quietness. The safety. The structure. She was walking around like someone who'd won. Then the PI sent me something that made my stomach twist. A copy of a police report she had filed. It claimed I had been stalking her.
Showing up at her job.
Following her home. Sending threatening messages. There were screenshots, fake ones. They used my name. They looked real. The investigator said, "She's setting something up. Getting ahead of any charges you might try to press. If she ever goes to court, she'll say she warned people about you." I felt like I couldn't breathe. I asked him to keep watching her. Just long enough to see if she slipped. If she used my name again. If she applied for anything else as me. 3 nights later, I got a text from him. Her boyfriend left. Bags packed. Loud argument. He shouted, "You're not who you say you are." I sat up in bed. I texted back. "Where'd he go?" "Don't know yet," he replied. But he took his car. She's still in the apartment alone. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then, without really planning to, I got in my car and started driving. I told myself I just wanted to see her. Just once. From a distance. To remind myself she was real. That I wasn't crazy. It was raining by the time I pulled into the street outside her apartment. I parked 2 houses down and turned off the engine.
Watched.
All the lights were off. Just the blue flicker of a TV in the living room. I could see her silhouette on the couch. She wasn't moving. She looked peaceful. Like nothing had ever happened. And suddenly I realized something that scared me more than anything else had. She didn't just want my life. She believed it was already hers. And the scariest part? She was starting to convince me, too. I sat in the car for almost an hour, watching her shadow shift in the light of the TV. I thought about everything she'd taken, my clothes, my scent, my words, my job history, my name, my privacy, my peace. And I thought about what I had done. I let her in. I told myself I was helping. But deep down, part of me liked feeling needed. Important. Like I had it together, and someone saw that. I should have set boundaries early. Should have asked more questions when things felt off. But I didn't. I let it go. Again and again. Because I didn't want to look like the bad guy. Now I was sitting outside my own ghost. The next day, I tracked down her boyfriend. The investigator found his workplace. I waited outside during his lunch break. When he came out, I stepped in front of him and said, "I'm the real Leah." He froze. Then his face cracked open like something finally made sense. "She lied about everything," he said. I nodded. "I have proof. You want it?" We sat in his car. I showed him the photos, emails, messages, the fake police report. I told him everything. I didn't cry. I didn't ask for sympathy. I just laid it all out. He stared at the screen for a long time, then said, "She told me you were dead." That hit me harder than anything else.
Dead.
She didn't just want my life, she wanted me gone. We made a plan. He still had access to the apartment. Said she hadn't changed the locks. Said she'd been acting off since he left, paranoid, talking to herself at night. I told him I wasn't going to hurt her. I just needed to end it. He let me in 2 days later, while she was out at the store. I walked into the place and saw myself in every corner. Same brand of candles. Same kitchen towels. Same throw blanket I kept on my couch back home. She had a photo of my mother on the wall printed off Facebook. I didn't touch anything. I just went to her laptop. Opened it. No password. It was all there. Emails sent using my name. Job apps. Photos of me from inside my old apartment. She'd even written a fake journal entry, dated months back, pretending to be me, describing a mental breakdown. Like she was building evidence that I'd lost my mind. I downloaded everything. Took screenshots. Sent them to the police, my lawyer, and the investigator. Then I found the list. A handwritten list, tucked in her nightstand. Titled, "What Leah Has That I Deserve." It was long. Her face, her job, her freedom, her silence, her safety, her bed, her peace, her second chances. She'd crossed out several. She thought she was almost done. I left the place quiet. Left the door unlocked. Waited. That night, the police showed up at her apartment. I wasn't there. I didn't need to be. They arrested her for identity theft, stalking, and fraud. She screamed.
Cried.
Said I planted it all. But the evidence was solid. The boyfriend backed me up. The emails were time-stamped. The cameras had metadata. I watched the news clip the next morning. Her mugshot. My features on her face. Twisted.
Hollow.
They gave her 5 years. It wasn't enough, but it was something. A few weeks later, I started getting emails from her. Short ones. No threats. Just apologies. If I could have been you, I would have never let me in. You don't deserve that life. You never really saw me. I didn't respond. But the last one stuck with me. It said, "You won. But only because I broke first." And she was right. I did win. I got my name back. My space. My safety. But it cost me the way I used to trust people. The way I used to see myself. I don't think I'll ever open my door without wondering what I'm letting in. And every now and then, I still catch myself looking in the mirror and thinking, she wore this face better than I do.